I'm trying to get... What's wrong?
Yeah, folks, my name is Bob, by the way. I am a local, born and raised here. This is an old cotton warehouse, and the gentleman that owns this business, his name is James Michalopoulos. He's a local artist. He started the business some 17 years ago, back in 1995. James lives in New Orleans from November 1st through June 7th. Doesn't like the hot New Orleans summers, takes his wife and his daughter and goes and spends 4 months in Paris, France. Tough job, somebody's got to do it, right? Now he comes back every October and does all the distilling and painting again. Now James started the business in 95. 2005, Hurricane Katrina put 14 feet of water inside of here. That room you came out of had 8 feet of water inside of it. It was an aquarium. We had to completely gut it and start all over again. Out here, the 14 feet eventually settled at 8 feet, which is that plaque that's on that post by the water line right there. It stayed that way for 8 to 10 days. Finally, we were able to get those doors open and let that water go out into the streets and then probably down through the sewer system as it went down through that. Now, we called the federal government up to check the contamination. We only lost 15%. 85% of our stock was saved because the barrels and the equipment were tightly sealed. So we were very happy, very fortunate. Currently, all the barrels on the bottom are filled with water. That's to keep them moist for when we need them later on. The barrels from the second level and above, that's our 3-year-old stock. Our 5 and 10-year-old up on the top up there. Now, we get the barrels from the whiskey manufacturers in both Kentucky and Tennessee. They have this old law in the books that says they get to use it once, everybody else gets to use it twice. They went to Congress back in 1920 and they said, look, we cut the trees open, we farm the barrels, we do all of the work. We need some sort of protection. And Congress made a law for them right before Prohibition. It's called 1 and 2. Still on the books today. It's one of those things Congress does so well, it ain't broke, don't fix it, and they leave it alone. We do it a little bit differently. We buy molasses, which is boiled sugar cane. We get it 5,000 gallons at a time. We put it in those 2 drums that you see behind you. Once we get that in there, we pump 500 gallons at a time to the back, where the distiller does 3 things. He washes it, he ferments it, and then he distills it. That process takes all of 1 week. And in 1 week, we got a batch of rum. So if I get you guys to push over, I'll show you how everybody can see this. This is the molasses that's in those tanks over there. That's the same molasses 1 week later.
Wow.
All rums start out clear, whether it's Bacardi or anybody else. All start out just like this. This is the same rum 2 years later, beginning to get its color from the barrel. Now, the only thing different is our distiller looks at this and says, wow, it looks like colored water. Go cook me some sugar. So he sends one of us to the back with 50 pounds of sugar. We put it in an old crawfish pot. We cook it for 3 hours until it becomes caramel. Once it becomes caramel, we add about 3 inches to the barrel. That 3 inches changes the flavor only that much, changes the color that much. Nice deep dark color, which is what he wanted to do. The flavor, that's going to come from the oak barrel. All of those barrels are made out of oak trees. Up in Kentucky and Tennessee, where we get all of our barrels, that's what they use, nothing but oak trees. Inside of an oak tree is loads of sugar. So when they form that barrel and they put the bands around it, a guy comes around with a torch, sticks that torch down the center of that barrel. He's going to char the inside of the barrel. When he does that, it also not only puts a charcoal flavor to it, it brings the sugar out of the oak tree, caramelizes it, and adds flavor, whether it's whiskey or whether it's bourbon. Tennessee likes to brag, they make whiskey. Kentucky likes to brag, they make bourbon. It doesn't matter, that charring of the barrel is going to add flavor to one or the other. We get the barrels already burned. We flush them with water to make sure they don't leak, and then we put them down below. The inside of the barrel, and I'll swing this around, the inside of the barrel is going to look just like this. It's going to have all of that charcoal, and then beneath that charcoal is that sugar that adds all that bit of extra flavor to it like that. So that's what that looks like. So the first step, and I'll tell you a little story in a minute, the first step is we hit a switch. And 500 gallons of molasses travels along a pipe to the back. It's a PVC pipe that goes to the tank where he's going to wash it. Now everybody wants to know, how the hell do you wash molasses? Well, we call it a marsh because years ago they would put it in a tank to dilute it. They add hot water to it. It's got to pass through hoses to go into a fermentation tank. And that molasses is so thick, so they still do the same thing. They send it to the back, they add hot water to it, but years ago the guy would stand on the ladder with a squeegee, and he'd do this, and he'd mix it together, so he was washing. Nowadays they stick an air hose down in there, a copper pipe with air forced into it, and it circulates it, thins it out, gets it mixed together, and then it passes through hoses and sit into a fermentation tank for 4 days where it'll become alcohol. And so that's how we do the process today. Now, about 6 months ago, the distiller and I are standing right here, right where you're at, and we're talking, and he says, oh wait, let me hit the switch and set some stuff to the back. So he hits the switch, and then we hear, pop! And I said, oh shit. Sure enough, 200 gallons of pipe broke. 200 gallons of molasses. What we noticed is sort of easing its way right toward us. All of this was covered with about that much molasses all over. Until 8 o'clock at night with hot water hoses flushing it down the drain. Cost of doing business. Let me get y'all, if you follow me to the back, I'm going to show you what's in there.